As the moon drifts over Germany's ancient landscapes, the night hums with quiet memory. Castles rise from mist-covered hills, their towers brushing against centuries of forgotten whispers. The rivers move slowly, carrying echoes of love, sorrow, and time itself. Tonight, we'll wander softly through these places where history never truly sleeps, and the past still lingers in the candlelight. Let the stillness guide you as we explore 10 haunted places in Germany and the stories they keep beneath the silence. Story 1: Heidelberg Castle, Baden-Württemberg. High above the Neckar River, the ruins of Heidelberg Castle rest beneath a veil of drifting mist. You can see it even from the old town below, the half-broken towers rising like tired sentinels, their stones glowing faintly pink under the soft breath of twilight. Once, this place was filled with music and celebration. Now, only the wind wanders through the empty halls, carrying echoes of a forgotten court. They say a lady still walks these ruins. Her name has been lost, but her presence lingers, felt in the cool air brushing against the skin, seen in the flicker of a single candle left burning long after midnight. Some claim she was a countess, bound to a love that never returned. Others say she was a servant girl who glimpsed too many secrets and paid the price in silence. Whatever the truth, her sorrow seems woven into the ivy that climbs the walls. If you walk through the courtyard when the world is quiet, you may hear soft footsteps above, though no one stands there. The old fountain murmurs beside you, its water reflecting the faint shimmer of movement in the tower window. Sometimes the air trembles faintly, like the hush before rain, as if the castle itself sighs. Tourists come and go, snapping photos and laughing. But when the sun slips below the hill, the castle belongs to her. The torches along the battlements flicker weakly, shadows gathering in the corners. The air cool, and every sound grows distant. Muffled, even your own heartbeat seems to fade. There's a legend told by the caretakers. They say if you look from the gardens at dusk, you might see her standing on the balcony, a pale figure gazing toward the river, her gown fluttering like mist. The moment you blink, she's gone, leaving only the scent of faded roses and rain. Some believe she waits for a letter that never came. Others whisper she's guarding something, a promise, or perhaps a dream that time forgot. But maybe she simply loves the place too much to leave. And as night settles, with the bells of Heidelberg chiming faintly in the distance, you can almost feel her there beside you, quiet, gentle, watching. The castle sleep, and so should you. Yet the whisper of her story still drifts through the fog, soft as breath lingering in the air between centuries. And beyond the river, where the forests deepen, another story waits. Story 2, Burg Eltz, Rhineland-Palatinate. Hidden deep in a forest between steep emerald hills, Burg Eltz appears like something from a dream, a castle untouched by time. Its pointed towers rise above the morning fog, surrounded by a silence so pure it feels sacred. The path to reach it is long and winding, shadowed by ancient trees whose branches knit together like fingers clasped in prayer. It is said that those who approach too quickly sometimes feel watched, not by malice, but by curiosity, a quiet awareness in the woods, as though the castle itself is alive, studying those who come too close. The Eltz family has guarded these walls for nearly 1,000 years, and their stories cling to every stone, every stair, every echo of laughter that once filled the great hall. Among the whispered, one story endures the tale of the White Lady of Eltz. Long ago, a young woman of noble blood was promised in marriage to a man she did not love, a soldier with cold eyes and cruel ambition. On the eve of her wedding, she stood in her tower chamber, staring out at the moonlit forest, tears shimmering like pearls upon her sleeves. When her suitor arrived and tried to claim her by force, she resisted, and in that desperate struggle, a single arrow was loosed. It struck her instead of him, and in the silence that followed, she fell to the floor with a sigh so faint it was mistaken for the wind. The next morning, the castle bell rang once, though no one had touched it. They say the sound echoed for hours, rolling down through the valley, waking even the deer in the woods. Since then, her spirit has remained gentle, patient, endlessly waiting. Those who stay the night at Berg Eltz sometimes wake to a faint glow by their bedside, the shape of a woman standing quietly near the window. Others hear the soft rustle of silk in the corridors, followed by the scent of lavender and candle wax. She never frightens. She only lingers, as though remembering the rhythm of life. And when dawn breaks, the light pouring through the stained glass windows paints the stone floors in soft colors: crimson, gold, sapphire, as if blessing the castle anew each morning. If you listen closely, then, when the world is still half asleep, you may hear a faint hum, a melody that seems to rise from the walls themselves. Perhaps it's her song, echoing softly across centuries, reminding the castle that love, even in sorrow, leaves warmth behind. And as the mist curls away from the turrets and bridges, the forest exhales another story at rest. Further north, where the air grows colder and the wind hums through broken glass, another place awaits where the whispers of the past are not gentle, but restless. Story 3, Belitz Heilstätten Sanatorium, Brandenburg. Southwest of Berlin, hidden among the pine forests, lies a place where the air itself seems to remember pain. The Belitz Heilstätten Sanatorium, once a grand complex built for healing, now stands in stillness, its windows hollow and its corridors draped in dust. In the soft glow of dawn, the red brick facades seem almost tender, as if the buildings are trying to comfort themselves for what they have seen. It began with good intentions. The sanatorium opened in the early 1900s, a sanctuary for those suffering from tuberculosis. Sunlight and clean air were thought to be the cure, and so the rooms were built wide and open, with great arches and terraces where patients could rest among the trees. But time is not kind to places of suffering. Wars came. Soldiers filled the beds. The echo of footsteps in those long hallways began to carry not healing, but grief. Even now, when the forest wind pushes through the broken panes, you can almost hear it, the wheeled stretchers rolling softly down the corridors, the distant murmur of doctors, the breath of someone too weak to finish a word. There are stories of lights flickering to life when no electricity runs through the building, of piano notes sounding faintly from a room where the instrument was taken away decades ago. And sometimes, when photographers come to capture the decay, Their cameras pick up shapes, faint outlines of people standing in the misted mirrors or by the staircase landing, watching quietly. They are not cruel spirits. They seem calm, as though simply continuing their routines, the eternal rhythm of a place that never fully stopped being a hospital. One nurse, they say, still walks the upper wing. Her shoes click softly on the tile, her lantern swinging gently. Some swear they've followed her light, only to find the corridor empty, the air warm, as though someone had just passed. At night, the sanatorium breathes with the forest. Vines creep across the windowsills like veins, and the moonlight spills across the floor in pale pools of silver. The quiet here isn't empty, it hums, low and constant, like a heartbeat far away. You feel it in your bones, and the reminder that even the places built to save us carry the memory of what they could not. If you close your eyes, you might hear a door gently open, a whisper of cloth, a sigh that does not belong to you. Then it fades, leaving only stillness, like a breath held by the world itself. And beyond these ruins, down the long road lined with birches, the night opens again, leading to another hill, another legend, a place where science once brushed too close to myth. Story 4. Frankenstein Castle, Odenwald. On a lonely hill above the Rhine Valley, the stones of Frankenstein Castle shimmer faintly under the moonlight. The forest here is dense, and the wind seems to carry words that have no source. Faint sighs, quiet laughter, and sometimes the rustle of leaves that sounds too deliberate to be chance. The castle stands in ruin now, its walls fractured, its towers leaning like old men remembering battle. But even broken, it feels alive, pulsing with the strange gravity of its name. The story begins centuries ago, long before Mary Shelley wrote of monsters and men. A family named von Frankenstein ruled here, and among them was Johann Dippel, a man obsessed with the mysteries of life and death. He studied alchemy and anatomy within these very halls. Some say he tried to reanimate the dead. Others whisper that he succeeded, though the truth is lost to time, tangled among legends and fear. When the storms roll over the Odenwald hills, lightning strikes the old watchtower again and again, as if nature itself still remembers what was once called down here. On such nights, villagers say a blue light glows from the highest window, cold, steady, and heartless. Those who have gone up the path during the storm claim they felt the air hum, their own breath turning to frost before they could even whisper a prayer. But when the morning comes, the hill is quiet again. The trees sway softly, as though nothing ever happened. The castle lies bathed in mist, its stones wet, its silence absolute. There are no monsters here, not in the way stories tell. The true haunting is older, quieter. It lives in the dreams of the curious and the restless. In the corners of the laboratory, bottles still stand sealed with wax, and the air smells faintly of metal and smoke. Beneath the floorboards, people say, there's a room with no door, a place where experiments once took place. On some nights, when the air grows heavy before a storm, you can hear something metallic, a faint tapping beneath the ground, slow and patient, as if someone is still at work, centuries after the world forgot their name. Visitors often leave small offerings at the gate, dried flowers, a note, sometimes a candle. They say it's to honor Dippel, or perhaps to keep him content wherever he may linger. And when the candle burns low, its flame bends toward the ruins, as though drawn by a breath unseen. The forest around the castle hums softly. The night deepens, the world holds its breath. And just beyond these hills, where the land flattens and the shadows lengthen, another fortress waits, one that does not whisper of lost science, but of belief twisted into something far darker. Story 5. Heidelberg Castle, North Rhine-Westphalia. In the village of Büren, surrounded by quiet meadows and pale morning fog, rises a strange fortress, a triangle of black stone pointing north like an arrow. Heidelberg Castle, they call it. Its three corners reach into the mist, and from above, its shape is unlike any other in Germany. It looks deliberate, mathematical, as if built to hold a secret rather than shelter people. For centuries, Heidelberg served as a modest Renaissance castle, echoing with music and the laughter of travelers. But history, as it so often does, turned dark. During the Second World War, the castle became something else, a place of symbols and shadows, where the occult and ambition intertwined. The walls that once heard songs began to absorb whispers instead. And now, long after those voices are gone, the echoes remain, faint and unyielding. When you walk through its long corridors, the silence presses close. The air is heavy, still scented faintly of stone dust and candle wax. Down in the north tower, where the light never quite reaches, stands a room shaped like a crypt. Its ceiling is engraved with a black sun, 12 radiating arms carved deep into the floor, a symbol that some say draws energy, others say traps it. No one agrees which is true. Tour guides speak softly here. They tell of guards who refuse to stay alone in that chamber after dark. They tell of flickering shadows when no one moves, and cold air that flows against gravity upward from the floor. Those who visit alone sometimes feel watched, as if the stones themselves are aware of every breath. At twilight, the castle's windows catch the dying light and reflect it in fractured shapes, triangles, circles, dark halos that shimmer across the ceiling. From a distance, the building looks peaceful, but up close, you can feel the strange hum beneath the surface, the low vibration of memory that refuses to fade. Some believe the spirits here are not human, not in the way we understand. Others think the energy of fear itself lingers, woven into the walls, looping endlessly through time. Yet, if you stand in the courtyard when the sun sets behind the hills, there's a stillness so complete that it feels almost kind. The air turns gold for a moment, soft and forgiving, as if the earth itself sighs. Perhaps that's what remains of the people who lived and died here, the quiet wish for release, for gentleness after so much darkness. And when night falls, the castle glows faintly under the stars, an ancient heart beating slow and steady in the cold. Beyond the fields, where the fog rolls like the sea, lies another story, softer, more sorrowful. A place where love, not fear, lingers among the statues and the wind. Story 6, Babelsberg Park, Potsdam. There is a hush that lives in Babelsberg Park. It lingers between the willows and marble statues, in the paths that curve like memories beside the Havel River. The castle at its heart, Schloss Babelsberg, glows pale gold at sunset, its towers mirrored in the still water. And when twilight deepens, the air fills with something unspoken, a quiet presence, graceful and melancholic, like a melody without words. They say that in the mid-1800s, this place was alive with music. Prince Wilhelm and his wife Augusta once strolled these gardens under lantern light, while orchestras played in the distance and laughter spilled across the lawns. Yet, when the prince left for war, the music stopped. Augusta remained walking the same paths alone, her parasol trembling in the breeze, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Years passed. The empire changed. The palace stood through storms and silence. But the echo of that unfinished dance, the one that began before his departure, never faded. Now, when the mist gathers low over the river, people have seen two figures in the garden. They move slowly, hand in hand, beneath the birch trees. Their clothes shimmer faintly, half real, half reflection. Sometimes, only the rhythm of their steps can be heard, a soft shuffle in the grass, like fabric brushing against the earth. Garden keepers who work at dawn sometimes find footprints in the dew, small, neat, leading toward the fountain, then vanishing mid-path. Others hear faint music drifting through the fog, a single waltz that plays and fades before they can find its source. It isn't frightening. It's tender, almost sorrowful, as though the past itself refuses to sleep until the song ends. Even the statues seem to listen, their stone eyes turned toward the sound, their faces softening with moonlight. If you sit quietly by the water's edge, you might feel it too, the sway of time around you, the hush before memory touches the present. The air cools, the wind carries the faint scent of lilac, and for a heartbeat, you could believe that love is strong enough to outlast everything, even the centuries. When the first birds stir and the mist thins, the park returns to silence. The couple is gone, the air grows warm, and the world resumes its ordinary rhythm. Yet somewhere, just beyond the edge of hearing, the waltz continues. And if you follow it through the dawn and over the rolling plains, you'll find another palace waiting, vast and gilded, where light shivers across endless mirrors and chandeliers seem to breathe. Story 7, Residenzschloss Ludwigsburg, Ludwigsburg. In the soft heart of Baden-Württemberg, where the streets are lined with chestnut trees and the air smells faintly of rain and roses, stands the Residenzschloss Ludwigsburg, a palace so grand it could almost belong to a dream. Its hundreds of rooms unfold like pages of a storybook, their golden ceilings reflecting candlelight in 1,000 tender glimmers. Yet beneath all that splendor, something unseen moves quietly, a presence that feels both watchful and weary. It is said that this palace, with its graceful courtyards and long echoing corridors, remembers everything. The laughter of nobles, the rustle of gowns on marble floors, the sighs of those who lived here long enough to see beauty turn to burden. The legend most often whispered belongs to a maid, a young woman who served in the palace during the 18th century. Her name was Elise. She was loyal, kind, and silent, tending to the rooms of Duchess Magdalena, who often suffered from sleepless nights. One winter evening, the Duchess vanished without a trace. Some said she fled the court, others claimed she died quietly within her chambers. But Elise, she remained, searching for her mistress every night until she herself faded from time. Now, they say, she still walks the upper floors when the palace grows silent. Her footsteps are soft as breath, her candle glowing faintly behind the glass. Sometimes mirrors along the hallway tremble slightly as she passes, not from draft or wind, but as though recognizing someone they have seen before. Guards who patrol late at night have spoken of seeing her reflection without her body, a glimmer in the corner of a mirror, a pale face watching with gentle eyes. Others describe hearing the faint creak of doors opening in unison, though no one stands behind them. It is not frightening, only strange, like being gently reminded that the past is not gone, merely folded within the present. One caretaker once said that the palace itself seems alive, that its chandeliers sway when no breeze stirs, and its walls hum faintly, as if breathing. The grand ballroom, with its painted ceiling of clouds and angels, sometimes fills with an invisible light after midnight. Visitors have walked in expecting darkness and found the room softly glowing like the inside of a dream. Perhaps Elise still tends to her duchess, her candle guiding her through endless corridors of memory. Or perhaps the palace itself, in its longing to stay beautiful, to stay remembered, manifests her from time to time, as proof that even grandeur can be lonely. When dawn breaks and the light spills through the high windows, all is quiet again. The marble gleams, the mirrors stand still, and for a while, the world forgets its ghosts. But far to the south, beyond rolling vineyards and winding river, another fortress stands against the wind, one older, colder, and bound forever by sorrow. Story 8. Schloss Wolfsegg, Bavaria. Perched high above the Danube, surrounded by dark woods and the low cry of distant owls, stands Schloss Wolfsegg, a stone fortress untouched by time. The road that leads to it winds through mist and farmland, until suddenly, the gray walls rise before you like a memory half remembered. The air here feels different, heavier, older, as though the centuries themselves have settled over the hill. Inside, the halls are narrow and uneven, their floors creaking softly beneath every step. Candles flicker in the stairwell, though no one claims to have lit them. The silence feels alive, holding its breath between echoes. They say the castle is haunted by a woman named Clara, the Lady of Wolfsegg. Long ago, she was the wife of a nobleman, a man known for his pride and suspicion. The story goes that Clara was kind, radiant, and lonely. Her husband, consumed by jealousy, believed she loved another. One night, in a rage born of rumor, he ended her life. And since that night, the castle has never truly slept. People who stay in the upper chambers describe strange sounds, soft weeping that drifts through the walls, footsteps pacing just outside the door, and the sudden scent of violets when no flowers are near. At dawn, when the mist settles over the valley, a pale figure can sometimes be seen near the battlements, her gown rippling in the wind. She gazes toward the river, her face calm, her eyes endless. Locals call her the Weiße Frau, the White Lady. She never speaks. She only lingers, repeating the quiet path of her grief, century after century. Some believe she protects the castle, driving away those with ill intent. Others think she simply waits for forgiveness, or perhaps for the peace denied to her in life. On stormy nights, lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating her shadow on the stone wall, perfectly still, and just as quickly, she is gone. Yet even after the thunder fades, a faint hum remains a vibration in the air that feels like a heartbeat too slow to be your own. If you listen closely, you might hear the whisper of her gown brushing against the stone, or the faint click of her heels on the old wooden stairs. The sound is soft, patient, like rain falling far away. And though her sorrow fills the castle, it is not cruel. There is a strange comfort in her presence, a gentleness in her haunting, as if she longs not to frighten, but to be remembered. At sunrise, the light spills over the Danube, painting the valley gold. The castle seems almost new again. Birds call softly from the trees, and the air carries the scent of earth after rain. But if you stand very still, you might see something shimmer by the tower window, a figure turning away, fading into the light. And down in the heart of the city, where rust and ivy reclaim the forgotten, another kind of ghost waits, not noble, not ancient, but born of laughter left behind. Story 9, Spree Park, Berlin. In the southeast corner of Berlin, hidden behind rusting gates and creeping vines, lies Spree Park, once a place of joy, now a monument to silence. The old amusement park sits frozen in time, its Ferris wheel looming over the treetops like a relic of forgotten dreams. Each of its cabins sways gently in the breeze, creaking in slow rhythm, as though the ghosts of laughter still circle endlessly through the air. When it opened in the 1960s, Spree Park was filled with color and sound, children's voices, the hum of rides, the scent of popcorn and summer grass. Now, all that remains are echoes. The carousel horses are chipped and hollow-eyed, their paint peeling like old wallpaper. The swan boats, half sunk in green water, drift aimlessly among reeds. The laughter is gone, but sometimes, if you walk there alone, it returns faint and far away, like a memory carried by the wind. Locals say the Ferris wheel turns on its own when the fog thickens. There is no electricity here, no engine left alive, and yet it spins slow, deliberate, creaking like a whisper through metal bones. Once, a night guard claimed he saw lights flicker along its rim, dim bulbs glowing one by one until the wheel formed a pale halo in the mist. He left his post soon after, saying the laughter that followed was not human. Yet Spree Park doesn't feel malicious. It feels lonely, as if the joy once poured into it still circles, looking for someone to remember. Even the broken clown statues seem wistful under the moonlight, their painted smiles softened by time. The air smells faintly of rust and moss, but beneath that is something sweeter, the ghost of sugar and rain. Sometimes passers-by hear the faint jingle of carnival music, not sharp or fast, but slow as though played from underwater. A single accordion note, a child's giggle, a rustle of leaves pretending to be applause. Then silence again. The forest has begun to reclaim the park. Birch trees grow through the roller coaster tracks. Ivy coils around the ticket booths, and wildflowers bloom through the cracks of the concrete stage. Nature's lullaby, soft, persistent, patient, wraps everything here in peace. It is strange how places built for joy can become beautiful even in their ruin. The laughter fades, but the memory stays. The Ferris wheel keeps turning, the air keeps breathing, and the city moves on unaware that a piece of its heart still beats quietly among the trees. And when the wind shifts, carrying the faint scent of iron and earth, you might imagine the sound of footsteps leaving the park, one last visitor, waving goodbye. If you follow that sound east, beyond the city and into the silence of Saxony-Anhalt, you'll find another place waiting, not of laughter or sorrow, but of faith that has become a whisper in the dark. Story 10, Wittenberg Church, Saxony-Anhalt. In the quiet heart of Wittenberg, where cobblestone streets echo under the shoes of early risers, stands a church that once changed the world. The Castle Church, or Schlosskirche, rises tall and solemn at the edge of town, its tower piercing the gray morning sky. To most, it is a place of history where Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses and the Reformation began. But when the tourists leave, and the last bell fades into silence, something older remains. At dusk, the air thickens with incense and memory. The pews glow faintly in the candlelight, and dust drifts through the air like golden snow. In that stillness, you can almost hear it, the sound of faint footsteps moving between the aisles, the whisper of fabric brushing against wood. It is said that those who linger after evening prayers sometimes catch a glimpse of a figure near the altar, a man in dark robes, head bowed, murmuring softly to himself. When they approach, he is gone. Only the faint scent of parchment and smoke lingers. Others speak of voices in the tower, not shout, but harmonies, old hymns sung by unseen choirs. The sound rises and falls like the tide, haunting and beautiful, echoing off the stone walls long after midnight. The organ, silent for centuries at that hour, sometimes exhales a single note, as if sighing in its sleep. No one can explain it. The wind, perhaps, or the weight of faith itself, still breathing in the bones of the church. There is a peace here, though it is a melancholy kind, the kind that lives in libraries and candlelight, in the echo of prayer long finished. Some say the church remembers not Luther himself, but the countless voices that followed pilgrims, doubters, singers, all leaving fragments of their faith behind like scattered petals. If you sit beneath the great stained glass windows when the moon is high, you may see faint colors shimmer across the stone crimson, blue, and gold. The glass seems alive, the saints' faces shifting ever so slightly, as if they too are dreaming. The wind outside carries the scent of rain and wax, and for a moment, it feels as though the centuries collapse inward, the past and present breathing as one. Some nights, a single candle burns by the door, though no caretaker lit it. The flame bends toward the nave, flickering in rhythm with the invisible hymn that drifts through the rafters. And in that sound, that quiet chorus woven from centuries of devotion, there is something tender, not haunting, but hopeful. As the final echo fades, the church exhales once more, returning to silence. The moonlight softens, the stones grow still, and the air cools with the calm of something eternal. Now the night grows quiet again, the stories fade, and the world rests in silence. Sleep well until our next haunting.